You can demand whatever you want, Kat. Kat, you can demand whatever you want. You hold on. No, because you just said something that's not true.
The law requires that we are allowed to, that elected officials can inspect these facilities, but ICE hasn't let them do that. Why?
Yes.
Why not?
Yes,
If they're following the law, no, they have not.
Yes, they have. Yes,
no, they haven't. This is a continual issue. You can say yes, they have, but it doesn't make you right.
All right, guys, some of you might remember back in the beginning of August, we did a segment on this guy from News Nation called Leland Vittert, and he had Mehdi Hasan on to discuss the National Guard deployment to Washington, D.C. And instead of being a skeptical journalist who is asking all the right questions about the abuse of power that we are currently witnessing, he decided that he was just going to run cover for the administration instead. Now, this is a guy who wants to pretend that he is some neutral arbiter of what is going on in the world. But time and time and time again, we see him running cover for the fascist administration. And we have yet another example of that, because congressional candidate Kat Abughazaleh recently went on his show, and instead of allowing her to speak in full sentences about what is going on in Chicago, he decides that he's going to be a douchebag who is continuously talking over her, who is sitting on the other side of the screen acting like a petulant toddler. And it was really a sight to behold, guys, because here you have Kat Abughazaleh, who lives in Chicago, who has been out there on the streets protesting the federal presence in Chicago, and you would imagine that a good reporter would want to hear her side of the story. But instead, it is just more bullshit running cover for this administration. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, guys. If you guys do appreciate my work and want to support the show, please do remember to subscribe.
You said that J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson need a history lesson. I'd like to give you one. When masked men are deployed by an executive figure into our streets, when they are kidnapping people, entire families, naked, zip tying their hands and throwing them into U-Haul trucks, they're usually not the good guys. And in fact, it doesn't usually end well for anyone involved. I personally would call that the secret police.
So you'll notice here, he's sitting on the other side of the screen, just shaking his head. We know what is happening in Chicago. We have all seen the videos scrolling on our social media apps, right? I mean, children were literally unclothed and zip-tied and shoved into the back of a U-Haul. We saw a priest get shot in the head with a projectile because he was standing there praying for these federal agents. The excessive force that is being deployed by these federal agents is out of control. But here you're going to have Leland Vittert defending their actions, saying that, well, they're just following the law. Let's keep going.
Okay, well, you can call it whatever you want. As far as we understand it, ICE is following the law. You may not like the law,
but they are not.
But it is the yes.
They are not.
Yes,
Here's the thing, Leland. We just had a press conference this Friday where we demanded transparency, accountability, and safety. The transparency aspect.
You can demand whatever you want, Kat. Kat, you can demand whatever you want. You hold on. No, because you just said something that's not true.
The law requires that we are allowed to, that elected officials can inspect these facilities, but ICE hasn't let them do that. Why?
Yes.
Why not?
Yes,
if they're following the law, no, they have not.
Yes, they have. Yes,
no, they haven't. This is a continual issue. You can say yes, they have, but it doesn't make you right.
Okay, let's just pause right there for a moment. If you've been following what is going on with these ICE facilities, then you'll know that Congress people have been showing up to these facilities and they are not being let in. It is federal law that our oversight bodies, people in Congress, they can show up to these facilities whenever they want and get a tour of the facility. But this administration, run by Kristi Noem and the DHS, and they are not letting these people in. Instead, they're giving them the runaround. They're saying, oh, come back later. Oh, you got to schedule with us. They are breaking the law. And Leland Vittert should know that. And to sit on the other side of the screen and just say, nuh-uh, nuh-uh, nuh-uh. I mean, what are you doing, bro? You look like a child. Let's keep going.
I have some of your talking points here, including one of them that says that you're upset that people who have shown up with medication for their loved ones have not been allowed in. The law is pretty clear. You can show up to prison. I can show up to a prison and demand to see my loved one inside and deliver medicine. They're not going to let me in there either. And if I try to push my way in, I'm going to get arrested. I'm wondering why you all think that because you're protesting ICE, that you somehow have special privileges.
I love how these two totally separate things you just mentioned are completely different. These are families that I have watched who have been told by ICE to bring medication, life-saving medication, to their loved ones. It is a processing center, so people aren't supposed to be there for more than 12 hours at a time, and they are tear-gassed.
Why do you think that somebody protesting ICE has any more rights than anybody else? If I go stand in front of the FBI office and try to block an FBI agent from leaving, I get arrested. It's pretty simple. Why should those rules not apply to you?
I don't think any of us have more rights than anyone else, but I think we have rights. I think we have the First Amendment, which I thought conservatives liked, but I guess not. Honestly, the reason I'm on this show is to let people know, let people that are watching your show, what is happening. I am a 5 foot tall, 110-pound woman who has been thrown by ICE 3 separate times, just existing. One of which I was trying to help someone not get run over by a car.
You weren't just existing.
Okay. Let's pause right there for a second, because I think what Leland Vittert here said is very important. Detaining people for immigration purposes is not supposed to be punitive punishment. That is not what these immigration facilities exist for. So to try to compare those to prisons is not an apt analogy. And if you've got, I'm not exactly sure what the protocols are to get these people their life-saving medicines, as Kat Abughazaleh is trying to describe here. I'm not exactly sure what those protocols are, but what I do know is these ICE facilities, they are not prisons, and therefore they should not be treated as such. These people are supposed to be in these immigration facilities for processing, whether they've got an administrative warrant, whether they have got deportation orders, whatever it may be. These are supposed to be processing facilities to deport people out of the country, or to figure out their immigration status, or figure out what the next step as far as their immigration status goes. We should not be treating them like prisons. They are not prisons. That is not what they are established for. That is not what the law sets them up to be.
You weren't just existing. You were trying. You weren't just existing. You were trying. You were trying to block. You were trying to block federal agents or assist those who are.
I was trying to keep someone from getting
maybe
run
if the
over
person
by a
wasn't
van.
standing in front of, maybe if the person wasn't standing in front of federal agents, that wouldn't be a problem.
Look, you can talk over me all you want, but I want people to know this is what's happening on the ground, and you have rights.
What's
and I
happening?
know that things. That we're being tear gassed, that people are being taken from their homes. ICE agents repelled from Black Hawk helicopters and arrested naked children in the middle of the night.
No, they didn't. That's been completely debunked. That's been completely debunked.
Literally has not. I have watched a little girl be detained. I watched it with my own eyes.
No kids were zip-tied.
I have watched a child be detained with my own eyes.
Okay.
And I get that things are scary out there, but if you're watching this, this will come for you eventually.
Okay. How is it possible that we have Leland Vittert, who's supposed to be a professional, he's supposed to be decent at his job, and he's sitting on the other side of the screen throwing a fit like a petulant toddler? How is that possible? And to just deny all reporting that we are getting out of Chicago and all of the excessive force that is being doled out indiscriminately at this point, to sit there and deny that and then act like a toddler, nuh-uh, nuh-uh, nuh-uh. I mean, what are we doing here? How is it that this guy is still employed by News Nation? He's not treating Kat Abughazaleh with any respect at all. He's continuously cutting her off, not even allowing her to speak in full sentences, and then just wants to discount anything she has to say. What is the point of doing an interview like this if you are just going to talk over your guests the whole time? I mean, I just find it so damn frustrating that somebody like this still has a job in this position. It's just crazy to me.
And it will hurt your loved ones. And we all deserve our rights.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think there's an important question.
I think you could disagree with me, because you are.
I think everybody deserves their rights. But my question is this. Speaking of rights, and just in terms of being interested in what's best for Chicago, I used to live there. I love the city. I met my wife there. And in terms of what is the biggest risk to law-abiding citizens of Chicago, 5 dead, 25 wounded in Chicago in weekend shootings. The ages of victims range from 16 to 62. What's a bigger threat to the citizens of Chicago, the random gang violence and carjackings and shootings, or ICE?
Okay. before she goes ahead and answers this question, I am so tired of this false dichotomy that they try to set up here. Look, there is going to be crime in any major city. That's just how it goes, right? There is going to be pockets or areas that you don't want to visit at night, maybe because they're a little more crime-ridden than other parts of the city. But to think that anybody walking through Chicago is all of a sudden at risk of gang violence, it just doesn't comport with reality. Sure, are there problems in Chicago? Yes. Does that mean we need to be deploying our National Guard and active duty military to our city streets? No. That is not what the military is assembled for. That is not why we built the military. They do not have the training to be conducting law enforcement activities in these cities, and therefore they should not be deployed unless it is a very, very special situation. The LA riots, for instance, that would be a good reason to deploy the National Guard. But just because crime exists in a city doesn't mean we should trade off some of our rights and send our military in. That is absolutely insane. So, of course, these federal agents that are being deployed to city streets right now, yes, they are much more of a threat to your everyday citizen than this so-called gang violence that Leland is talking about here.
ICE, because let's be clear, if you want to actually attack crime rates, you would do that in red cities where crime is on the rise, not in blue ones where it's going down in a lot of places. Look, I live in Chicago. You don't. I can tell you when conservatives describe Chicago as a war zone, that's first off nonsense, but the actual war zone is at that processing center where ICE is committing crimes against humanity, where there are dozens of people in a single cell, where grandmothers and pregnant women are sleeping on concrete, and where people
I just say this respectfully. It's a war zone, though, not because people are standing on the sidewalk with signs. It's because you guys are trying to block federal agents.
I watched a group of people praying, and then ICE shot them with pepper balls. They were literally praying on the sidewalk.
Because there was already a riot there.
No, and there has never been a riot there. When I'm like, you can just say no, but this is what I've experienced. So to the people watching right now, you know, he can say whatever he wants. I have been there, and we deserve better. All of us deserve better.
Thank you.
I mean, that is just embarrassing for Leland Vittert. We've all seen the videos. That priest or reverend or however he identifies, I'm not exactly sure what denomination he is. He was literally standing there praying. You've got ICE agents or federal agents on the roof of a building. There is no riot taking place. There are just protesters screaming at these federal agents. And all of a sudden, they are shooting projectiles at these protesters. That is insane, people. Sure. Have there been clashes with these federal agents? Have people been trying to stand in front of their vehicles, which might be qualified as impeding law enforcement duties? I'm not exactly sure what that would be classified as. Sure, we see this every now and again, but the extraordinary use of force that we are seeing in our city streets right now, it is out of control. A lot of the times, you've got like over in Portland, for instance, there was 20 to 30, maybe 40 people who were protesting for the last 100 days at the ICE facility, always remained peaceful. And then you've got Donald Trump looking at videos from back in 2020 and deciding he needs to send the military back in. And they deploy these federal agents or these federal assets, and they escalate the situation. We have seen this over and over and over again. In fact, I would bet that is what they are counting on. We've got these peaceful demonstrations at these ICE facilities that are remaining peaceful until federal agents show up. Donald Trump and his administration would love nothing more than for violence to break out. That way they have an excuse to deploy more force. I mean, that is what we are seeing here. Sure, are there these little one-off instances, these red herrings of people clashing with these federal agents in an unlawful way? Sure. But the overall majority have remained peaceful. They are not causing problems at these ICE facilities, and more often than not, it is these federal assets who are actually escalating the tensions. I mean, I just don't know how you can deny that anymore. I mean, the reporting has been pretty damn clear. You've got federal agents literally dropping from helicopters onto apartment buildings and rounding up American citizens. What we are seeing is out of control. It is unlawful. It is unconstitutional. And that is why they have been getting shot down in the courts so damn quickly. I mean, these people are unhinged. They are not living in reality. Like I said, they're using old 2020 videos to make decisions about deploying troops today, where you've got judges coming out and saying, hey, you guys aren't tethered to reality. That is what is going on in today's America. They are trying to push us one step closer to martial law, so they don't have to relinquish power in 2026 after the midterms. That is what is really going on. And this whole showing from Leland Vittert should get him fired. It is absolutely embarrassing that he is sitting here running cover for the fascist regime, just acting like a child with his guest on the screen. I'm getting flustered at this point. So anyways, guys, tell me what you think about this. Should people like Leland Vittert even... I just don't even get how he is employed at a supposedly credible news agency. I mean, it just makes no sense to me. It just makes no sense. He acts like a petulant man baby throwing a fit in the sandbox because he's so mad, and then just rejects all the facts on the ground. So I will leave it there for now, guys. If you guys got anything out of this video, please do remember to smash that like button and subscribe. Maybe share with a friend or two. I'd very much appreciate that. We've got to build something here on the left that pushes back against this MAGA media machine that just launders all of this fascistic nonsense for the Trump administration day in and day out. So if you do like what I do here, please do remember to smash that subscribe button. Of course, that is free. If you guys want to go a step above and beyond that, you can actually help me produce these videos by becoming a member right here on YouTube for as little as $3 a month, or you can head over to politiscape.substack.com, where you can have my content delivered directly to your inbox every single day without the doom scrolling, without the algorithms. And the cool thing about Substack is I own the data over there. So until the next one, guys, everybody keep your chin up, be safe out there, and I will see you on the next one.